Welcome to another episode of Marketing Matters with Christie Welch. Christie Welch is a direct marketing specialist with the Ohio State University Extension Program. And today she's going to be talking about CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Matters with Christie Welch. Christie Welch works with the Ohio State University Extension Program as a direct marketing specialist. Christie, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Patrick. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And I understand that in November, something special is going to be happening that's sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture.
That's exactly right, Patrick. We're very excited to share information with you about our 2022 Tri-State CSA Conference, Thinking Inside the Box, and happy to have USDA SARE program supporting this effort.
Now, is this for anyone and everyone, or is it just a select group that are asked to participate?
That's a great question, Patrick. It's really for anyone that's interested in either starting or growing their CSA operation. And we're going to have lots of great information to share. I'm excited to have our featured farmer, Karina Bench, come and do a workshop for us. So it's going to be a great learning opportunity.
Now, you had mentioned something about thinking inside the box.
I did, Patrick. And so our theme for the conference is thinking inside the box. So we're thinking about inside the CSA box, what goes in there and what are the processes behind getting all that delicious local food into that box for our consumers.
I know that Wanda and I like certain fresh vegetables, and sometimes we go to farmer markets and really find some really good produce that we enjoy at home.
That's true, Patrick, and that's really a great point because a lot of folks think about produce when we talk about CSAs. But let's start at the beginning and think about what is a CSA. So a CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and it was originally designed to help farmers manage production risk. And so consumers would pay the farmer for a share of whatever was produced on the farm that season. So typically here in Ohio, our growing season is in the summer months. So a customer would go to a farmer and pay them in January or February before the season even begins. And that really helped farmers who, again, cash flow is limited, right? We usually have products to sell in the summertime, but not so much during the winter. And so that helps the farmer buy all their inputs, their seeds, any fertilizer they might need, labor, those kinds of things. And then that customer would receive a share of whatever the farm produced that season. So if you had a bumper crop of whatever it is you were growing, you get lots of items in your CSA box. If, however, there was some kind of weather event or a natural disaster, and maybe you want tomatoes and that's why you were supporting this farm, well, if no tomatoes were produced that year due to some of these extenuating circumstances, you didn't get tomatoes, but you also didn't get your money back because, again, the original intent was to help manage the risk that our farmers take on in producing local foods.
Now, maybe you're going to be talking about this in further slides, but let's just suppose I wanted to share. Is there a set price when it comes to providing to the farmers money?
That's a great question, Patrick. And so every farm is different. And really, if you've seen one CSA, you've seen one CSA. I know CSA operators that are very small, and maybe they service 15 customers a season, all the way up to very large CSAs, which will have hundreds of subscribers for their CSA. And so it really varies depending on what each individual farm operation is doing.
So suppose I have an acre and I'm going to grow, oh, let's say corn on there. And I want to have a community supported agriculture. So I, in essence, sell shares of produce, of corn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just out of curiosity, let's suppose I don't know how much to get, because let's face it, once the corn is produced or grown, can I handle 100 ears of corn?
Again, all great questions, Patrick. And every farm is so individual on how they operate. And one of the things I'm really excited about for this conference is that we're going to have CSA operators there doing presentations. And so we'll be able to learn how different producers manage and operate their CSAs that work for them. And so in your example, Patrick, if the only crop you were going to have was corn, you would really have to focus on your succession planting so that you didn't have a crop 1 week and nothing else the rest of the summer. So you would want to plant so that you could have harvestable product at least a few weeks through the season. And so many CSA operators do a variety of local food products to, again, help their customers get access to the local food that they've come to love and demand.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, is it primarily vegetables, or are there certain kinds of fruits that can be included in this?
Great question again, Patrick. And so there are many, many different types of CSAs available. They originally started mainly with fresh produce, and there are still many, many CSAs that offers fresh produce throughout their season. We also have meat and protein producers that offer CSA. So whether it's locally produced beef, pork, poultry, eggs, even dairy products, there are CSAs available for customers in those areas now. We also have a lot of CSAs that incorporate value-added products. So maybe it's jams, jellies, honey, maple syrup, baked goods. Maybe you have a local baker and you just love their bread that they make with locally produced grains or something like that. And so many CSA operators are working collaboratively with other local food producers to better serve their customers. So instead of just having that wonderful box of fresh produce, maybe you'll have some proteins in there, some, baked goods. Maybe even you're working with a local business that produces, cookies or things like that. So again, with our customers, we want them to enjoy the local food that they're getting from us, but we also want to make it convenient for our customers as well.
So, Christie, let's suppose I wish to get involved with CSA. How do I know that the farm that I choose is the right one for me?
That's a great question, Patrick. And so talk to the farmer. We, as farmers, love to talk about what we do. And so ask the farmer questions. What's their history been? What types of products do they usually produce? What kind of schedule might you expect? Some customers receive a share weekly, some bi-weekly, some monthly. It really depends on what's included in that and how that farmer operates their CSA.
So let's suppose I have a small farm, Christie, but I want to take advantage of the CSAs. How do I know it's right for me?
Great question, Patrick. And so a couple of things that you want to think about when you're trying to figure out if it's right for you as a farmer. What are your goals? What are the overall goals for your farm as far as how much income are you hoping to generate? How much time are you wanting to spend operating the farm? Where are your customers? If you're out in the middle of nowhere and it takes hours and hours for customers to get to you, that might be a little bit more challenging unless you have a convenient way to get your product to your customers. So you have to think about that as well. What current resources do you have? What limitations do you have? So maybe your farm has a great reputation and you're in close to an urban area and you have 1,000 people that want to purchase your product, but you can only service about half of those. So how are you going to handle that? And so you really have to think about, again, those strengths and limitations. What can you produce? Because every farm is different and every farmer is different. And so what things can you do and do well on your farm? How are you going to package that to get it to the customers? Do you need to be able to store it and keep it safe and fresh? And then again, how much can you produce on your particular operation? And then getting that to that customer is really critical. And many, that's again handled differently by different CSA operators.
I would imagine that the first time you try it, the first year, it's a hit and miss, if you want to call it that. And then as you get more experience, you better understand. Sometimes it's better not to make too many mistakes. How can I, as a farmer that wants to establish one, know it's right for me?
That's a good question too, Patrick. And so I encourage you to talk to other CSA operators. And really, that's why we're holding the 2022 Tri-State CSA Conference, because we know as educators that our farmers will really like to learn from other farmers. And so we're very excited to provide this conference. So whether you're brand new to CSAs and just thinking about starting one, maybe you've been doing one for 10 years and you'd like to improve what you're doing. This conference is designed to help you gather that information, network with your peers, and help you minimize those mistakes. Because honestly, we all make mistakes. If you can share with me a mistake you've made so I can avoid that, that's a great win for all of us.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Well, I know that usually the growing season is the spring and summer months, but are there growing seasons throughout the year? And do CSAs also get involved in that?
Great question, Patrick. Our growers are doing a fantastic job of what we call extending the season. So with the use of high tunnels and greenhouses and row covers and other things, our farmers in the Midwest and the tri-state area are able to offer locally produced products really for a longer period of time. We have some farmers that are now able to operate year-round. And so, again, it really depends on your particular situation and what you can produce on your farm. I will tell you, I think it is great for customers if you can be a supplier of locally produced foods for 12 months out of the year as opposed to 6 months out of the year. But again, every operation is different.
And that probably includes the byproducts that you make, for instance, soaps or beeswax products or something that you make from the products itself. I would assume so.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of those things that are more shelf-stable type of products, maple syrup, honey, beeswax, soaps, and those kinds of things definitely go into CSA boxes. We also have producers that, if you're a meat producer, your product is usually frozen and can remain frozen for a period of time. So those can typically be offered year-round. And so again, one way to figure out what works for you is to really come to talk to other farmers and producers that are operating their CSAs and see how they've made it successful for them. So we're very excited this year at the conference to be able to have Karina Bench as our featured farmer for our Tri-State CSA conference. She is the co-founder of Farms, which is a 400-member CSA in Northwest Ohio. And she is also the creator of My Digital Farmer and my Digital Farmer podcast. And so Karina's going to do a workshop for us. And so we're very excited for our attendees to hear what she has to say and learn from her expertise.
So how long has she been involved with CSAs?
That's a great question. I think it's about a decade now, Patrick. Don't hold me to that. I could be wrong, but I think she and her husband have been doing CSAs for quite some time.
And I noticed that there's not only mydigitalfarmer.com, but a podcast where now is the podcast a monthly basis, a weekly basis, or as time goes on, people can listen to them at their own choice?
They can listen at their own choice. You know, with her being a farmer as well, we get very busy in the growing season. And so posting of those podcasts may vary a little bit, but you can, of course, subscribe to that and get notified when new podcasts are posted.
Oh, okay. And I know that USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, finds CSAs a valuable service, that they are one of the sponsors of this program.
That's right, Patrick. And so we're really excited to have the support of the USDA SARE, Sustainable Agricultural Research and Education Program. And part of our Tri-State CSA conference this year will be the SARE Farmers Forum. And so again, we recognize that farmers really like to learn from other farmers. And so our folks that are participating in the SARE Farmer Forum are folks that have done some usually research project on their farm with SARE support, and then they will come and share what they learned from that project with our attendees. And so we're really, again, excited about that. Not only to have the Farmers Forum and we'll have a producer from each state, so Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. And then we'll also have extension professionals, government officials, and other farmers talking about how they operate, manage their CSA, and make it better.
I noticed that in Ohio, we have a lot of large farms, but we don't have a lot of mega farms. Does that make sense to you, or am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, Patrick, that is true. I don't remember the exact statistics now, but most of the farms, and I'm thinking it's like 98% of the farms in Ohio, are family owned and operated. And so we really need to think about, when we talk about the size of farms, you might hear the term industrial agriculture. Those really are the exception, especially in Ohio. Again, most of our farms are smaller farms. They are family owned and operated. And as you well know, costs rise. And so it takes a little bit more to sustain a single family on a particular farm.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I know that some farms, we don't think of certain products like wine. Would you say that if I had an acre of grapes, that I would be a farm?
Oh, yeah. So the way that a farm is defined in Ohio, so one of the things that we reference when we talk about that is revenue generated on the acres that you have. So one of the things that we use, again, for a reference is the Certified Agricultural Use Evaluation, which is used to determine the property taxes for farmers. And so you have to show that you can produce at least $2,500 annually for your farm. And so that's one of the requirements that you have to meet.
That you're going to be visiting the Hawkins family farm?
Yeah, so we're very excited about that. The Hawkins family is a farm just northwest of Fort Wayne. And so our partners at Purdue have arranged this for us. I haven't had the opportunity to meet them yet, but I'm very excited to visit that farm and learn about their CSA and how they operate their CSA. And the other thing that we really want to focus on is food safety. How do they implement their food safety plan? Again, as farmers and local food producers, we want to produce a safe, healthy delicious local food for our customers. And so food safety is a big part of that. So we'll learn about Hawkins Family Farm and how they implement their food safety plan. And then during the conference itself, we will hear from some educators about food safety planning and how you can implement a food safety plan on your farm.
So when is the program going to be held and where? I guess that's
So that's a great
important
question, Patrick. Again, we're so excited to have USDA SARE hold their Farmers Forum with us at the 2022 Tri-State CSA Conference, which will be November 12th and 13th at the campus of Purdue University in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And the tour will be of the Hawkins Family Farm will be November 12th, which is a Saturday in the morning. If you don't want to go to the farm, you'll have the opportunity to visit a couple of farmers markets that are held in Fort Wayne, and you can do that on your own. And then the official conference starts at 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and we will go through the evening with a networking reception with some locally produced wine. We also are very excited that the caterer that we have, Walnut Hill, for this conference uses as much local food as they can to serve the meals. And so we're looking at probably 90 to 95% of the food being purchased from local growers. So we're really excited about that. And then on Sunday, the 13th, we'll have a full day of group sessions and breakout sessions, those educational sessions, as well as opportunities to visit exhibitors that will be there to show their services and products to our growers and attendees, and lots of networking time with other folks at the conference.
What's the best way I get in contact with them and register?
Great question, Patrick. And so we've tried to make it easy. I know websites can get crazy anymore, but if you just go to Go.osu.edu/CSA, all the information you need is there. There's a link to register. You can sign up to receive emails about the updates on the conference, and then we'll use those to follow up as well. Our conference last year, due to the pandemic, was held virtually, and so the recording of the conference from last year is on that page as well. So you can go back and look at some of the educational programs we offered last year.
Suppose I wanted to, I was not able to attend. Is there going to be anything that's virtual that I can watch while the conference is going?
So that's a really good question, Patrick. At this point, a conference will only be offered in person, with the exception of the SARE Farmers Forum sessions. Those will be video recorded and then posted on SARE's website after the event.
Well, it sounds like a really good conference. And I know that you've been actively involved with a number of them, with the CSAs for a number of years, et cetera. And I know that many people have walked away thanking you or thanking whoever the presenter was with great information. And I know that just because an individual attends one doesn't mean that they can't attend more. And so would you encourage individuals who attended previous years to come back and participate again?
Yeah, very good question, Patrick. So absolutely. So over the years, one of the biggest concerns that we hear from our CSA operators is customer turnover. And so this year, the 2022 Tri-State CSA Conference, we have really tried to focus on customer retention. Again, that's why we're so excited to have Karina joining us to talk about creating a CSA sales funnel. So that can be really helpful because, you know, as well as I do, for any type of business, a customer that you already have is much less expensive than trying to go out and recruit new customers. So we were going to focus a lot on customer retention. And the other thing that I mentioned was that successive planting, especially if you're looking at produce. You want to be able, especially if you're doing a weekly CSA share, you want to have something to put in that box or that bag or however you get it to your customers every week. So we'll focus on that as well. We also have some educators and folks that will be talking about sustainability and how to manage weeds, and the list really just goes on and on.
We're talking with Christie Welch. She's a direct marketing specialist with the Ohio State University Extension Program. Christie, before we end, any words of wisdom that you'd like to share about this program? And again, when is it and where will it be held?
Great, Patrick. I appreciate that. And so again, it will be November the 12th and 13th of 2022. So just a couple months away already. It will be held at the campus of Purdue University in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you can learn more about the conference at Go.osu.edu/CSA. On that website, there's a link to register. We're still looking for sponsors and exhibitors. So if you'd like to sponsor the conference or be an exhibitor, there's a link to that information as well. And then there is more information about directions to Fort Wayne. The agenda would be posted here in the next few days, so you can really dig in and see and learn a lot about what's going to happen during the conference.
Christie, I want to thank you very much. Really good program. These conferences really help people to learn. Christie, thank you.
Thank you.